Hey, what's good, y'all? It's C. Will here with the Passive Income Network. And on this podcast, we talk about investments, business, and innovative technologies. And on today's episode, we'll be focused in on the creator economy and how blockchain is playing a role at shaping the future of it. So let's bring our guest on the show.
Hey, what's up, Sewell? How you doing?
I'm pretty good. Thank you for joining the Passive Income Network and talk about the cool stuff that you're building over here. Before we begin, can you give a brief introduction of yourself and how you got into crypto and how long you've been into crypto?
Yeah, absolutely. So, my name is Lucas Campbell. I'm the founder of Pods or Pods.media. I've been in the crypto space since about 2017. Have always worked in the crypto industry since I graduated college back in 2018. And yeah, it's been quite a journey over the years. I've been largely or predominantly tackling the media industry. So got my chops as a writer covering DeFi in 2019, 2020, and then was fortunate enough to join the Bankless team as the first employee back in June of 2020, where I worked there for about 3 years, leading the newsletter and a lot of the content direction at Bankless. Outside of that, I've also done a handful of token launches. So worked for an organization or started an organization called FireEyes along with 4 other individuals. And we've helped do a lot of token launches around OP, Eigenlayer, ENS, Gitcoin, Super Rare, a bunch of stuff. So we've been on the back end, kind of helping these teams through the process of launching a token, setting up the governance frameworks, dealing with the token economics, designing the airdrops, all that kind of stuff. So I've had a really awesome perspective over the crypto industry over the past 7-8 years or so, and really excited about what we're doing right now with the creator economy and all of that, which I'm sure we'll dive into. But that's how I got here.
Most definitely. Thank you. And that sounds like a amazing journey. You went into a lot of different aspects of the crypto industry and blockchain in general. So that's pretty dope. And I know people you've been working with definitely appreciate your skills. So the creator economy, that's something I'm definitely really into as a podcaster. Then, I do music as well. And I have a lot of friends in these different spaces, and they are using the mainstream Web 2 apps like Spotify for pretty much everything that's audio. And we got the YouTubes out there, which my show is even on YouTube as well, and various other platforms. What's your thoughts on the creator economy and then how blockchain is now, I guess, upgrading it or changing it for the future?
Yeah, I think the creator economy has been this kind of massive unlock over the past 20 years or so with the rise of the internet, where it allowed anyone to publish content to everyone in the world in a few seconds. So, before the internet, this was largely gated to massive corporations that had these distribution networks that were able to print newspapers and magazines and distribute them everywhere. The internet kind of changed the game and allowed just any individuals to start creating content, whether it is a video or a blog or a podcast, and distribute it over the internet to the globe. And I think that was a massive unlock for the creator economy as a whole, and was really this first innovation in the creator economy for a lot of people. Blockchains, I think, or I guess taking a step back, I think one of the big issues was the business model around it, around media, and it was largely brand deals, give or take, specifically on the media side of like content creation, whether it is writing or a YouTube video or a podcast or anything like that. The primary monetization model is kind of brand sponsorship. So I work with a brand, they pay me, I show the content or their project or their product on my content and to my audience. I think the issue with that is that it's really not conducive for the listener. Most people don't love advertisements or brand deals or anything like that, and it actually hurts the consumer experience. And while I was at Bankless, I really got to know that model pretty intimately. And through it, I was like, okay, how can we leverage blockchains to just rethink the business media model and make it more engaging and more fun for the collector, but also, open up new opportunities for brands and the content creator as well. So I went down this rabbit hole in like 2021, give or take, about, okay, what does Web3 media look like? What does it, a crypto media company really look like if you were to build it from the ground up? What are the business models there? And kind of segueing into pods a little bit, one of the foundational things there is publish the content on chain, allow it to be ownable by the community. Through it, you open up this net new monetization model that's available to any creator, regardless of their audience size, that allows them to monetize directly from their fans and give ownership over their work in some capacity. And through it, you build this really nice social graph of your biggest fans. You can identify, the individuals behind the audience, when they came in, what their favorite episodes were. So you really get this whole new dimension of analytics and understanding around your audience, while also opening up this new monetization model. So that's how we kind of came about pods, was let's see how we can bring these podcasts on chain, allow mints to be this new business model for the creator, and then create really compelling experiences for why to collect this stuff and why to engage with that creator. So we've been building pods for about 18 months now, give or take, onboarded 100 something podcasts, and we've done about $1.5 million of volume to date. So it's been a really interesting journey for us as a whole. But I do really believe that this concept of on-chain media is like the massive biggest unlock for media since the internet, right? If the internet allowed anyone to publish and create content easily and distribute it across the globe, blockchains allow anyone to monetize that content directly and build that social graph with their biggest fans and create new ways to kind of engage and reward those people for supporting you as a content creator. So we've been really excited about this concept and really just trying to figure out ways to go beyond the sponsorship, to go beyond the brand deals, and figure out how we can leverage blockchains to rethink the media business model, make it more engaging for everyone, whether it is the brand, the creator, or the fan. So that's kind of the thesis that we're operating under and the principles that we're operating under. And it's been a really exciting journey, and podcasting has been a great vertical to really prove our skills and kind of sharpen our sword.
Yes, makes a lot of sense. And I think, again, as you like broke down the history of it, you had the internet, and then you had these tools like big studios were mostly the gatekeepers of it. The internet and Amazon, all these different companies made the technology cheaper or more affordable so that the common person can use it. But now we're heading into the new realm where you can actually collect, own, and empower your communities. And what's cool is that I remember, was this maybe 2020, 2021, Beeple dropped that NFT for like 60 million or something like that.
Right.
And that's what made everybody like, oh, man, NFTs is crazy. So we have some of the rise and falls, but you got big brands like the Pudgy Penguins that are doing great things. VeeFriends with Gary Vee is doing stuff with NFTs. So in terms of this technology for the podcast, is it in the form of NFT or like what's the technology behind how this is working in the wallet?
Yeah, the NFT is kind of the core piece of this. We have built pods on ERC 1155. So effectively, you have one contract as a creator, and all of the NFTs, all of the episodes are effectively NFTs under that contract. And it really creates this similar parallel of like a channel. So I create a channel, and then all of my content lives under that channel. And that was sort of like a really foundational thing that we had to pivot from. Versus like an ERC 721, and I know we're getting into the weeds here.
You get in it.
Yeah. But an ERC 721 is effectively each NFT is its own separate contract. So if you think about a content creator, this works really well for art or maybe even music, where you're releasing, a piece, two pieces, maybe a couple pieces every year. For a content creator, and we learned this while I was at Bankless when we were kind of testing and proving out the concept, is like, if you're a content creator, you're releasing 1 to 3 podcasts every single week. By the end of the year, if you're operating under these ERC 721s, by the end of the year, you're going to have 50, 100 plus Ethereum contracts, that you have to manage and operate and deal with. It's just really not ideal. What the 1155 did, and shout out to Zora for this, is that it streamlined all of that to just be under one creator contract. So if you think about a podcast, you have one RSS feed, and all of your episodes live under that feed. It's very much bringing an on-chain version of that, and that's how we've really approached it. So the 1155 has been a really helpful piece of infrastructure on the technology front that allows you to have these NFTs for every single episode, but it also makes the management of the contract a lot easier, rather than dealing with hundreds and hundreds of separate Ethereum contracts.
Oh, that's dope. It makes sense. So, for y'all know who's watching the show, I have published my first episode, and it was an amazing experience. So I was like, definitely got to get Lucas on the show and share this with y'all, because I know there's some content creators that are watching this, and I'll be sharing it throughout my networks, and then putting this on y'all radar. Be like, hey, listen, this is the new technology that we can use, and that doesn't mean that you no longer have to use the other technologies that are out there. Yeah, I think this is an add-on type of situation. And one of my favorite artists, RIP to Nipsey Hussle, one of my favorite artists, he made the Proud to Pay movement, right? And that means he was releasing stuff at the same time they were free, like say on the YouTube, but he also put it out there. And if you wanted to pay for it, you can also buy his album at the same time. And that's what this kind of reminds me of. So the true fans out there are purchasing these episodes and they're collecting them. And I've seen too that you can resell. There's a whole market that can happen. Can you speak on the possibilities that you can do with this technology?
Yeah, I think you mentioned a couple key things there. So one of the main things that we like operate under is to try not to pull you away from an existing platform, right? Like YouTube or Spotify or anything like this. So this model that we're talking about publishing content on chain is really an additive positive sum kind of mechanism for you as a creator. You're not really losing anything by publishing on chain, and it's really just this additive experience. And it's something that we've really tried to approach of like, how do we fit into the current creator workflow? So I think that was one important piece for us. By publishing on pods or really publishing on chain as a whole, you're not really trying to sacrifice or take away from, publishing to Spotify or Apple Podcasts or YouTube or anything like that. You're really trying to be this net new additive experience, almost like a Patreon, where you're kind of doing all of that. The content is still free to consume, but your true fans are going to come and support you directly, which is really the key thing there. The second thing is, the possibilities of what happens, with this stuff. We're really big fans of, what you can do with the social graph. With this, I think like one of the things that, we've seen today, or a handful of things that we've seen today is effectively, okay, one option is you can create a token gated chat, right? A gated chat, group chat, with all of your fans, with all of your collectors. You can then start to give them status based on how much you've collected, right? So, we have a creator that does this where you get different roles in Discord. And, the more NFTs or more episodes that you collect, you kind of rise up the ranks. So you kind of get this gamified status. Other ideas that we've seen creators use is like, okay, maybe I want to allow these people to vote on future content. So they'll set up, a vote, and one NFT equals one vote. And here are the guests that I have lined up. Which ones do you guys want to see on the next episode? And there's all sorts of other things. I think, from a stepping back, what's possible with this is that effectively you have this very public leaderboard of your biggest fans that you can then reward in any way that you want. And specifically, this leaderboard has not only like effectively an email address, but a Venmo account associated with it. So if you imagine like Mr. Beast, if he knew every single individual and had their Venmo account that supported his content over the years, what would he be doing with that data? Right? He'd probably be doing daily giveaways. One random subscriber, one random collector every day gets $10,000. Fuck it, let's go.
Facts.
And be doing crazy stuff like that. So we're really excited about the possibility of what you can do with these social graphs at the end of the day. But today we're seeing new ways to not only engage the audience and allow them to kind of influence your direction as a creator, engage with them directly, but also get rewarded financially. So, other things that we've seen is like, imagine I have an episode on Eigenlayer. Maybe we want to start rewarding people that mint the episode about Eigenlayer with some Eigen tokens. And what this does is it drives more virality around that episode and brings more people to come and consume your content. If you think of that token as like an advertisement or like a way to attract attention to your content, you can start to use these tokens as attention mechanisms, attention grabbers for people to come to your content. So we've seen a lot of creators leverage this kind of concept of a on-chain sponsorship. And I know I've been ragging on sponsorships in the first half of this, but the reason why this is so exciting is because it really brings in the collector or the fan and creates a much more compelling experience for them. So if you can imagine, I'm a brand, I'm a creator, and we have the listener here. the brand wants to give the creator a sponsorship, but rather than it being just US dollars, plug us in the episode, throw the link in the show notes, and screw the listener. What changes here is effectively the brand gives up some tokens, gives it to the creator. The creator says, we're not going to sell any of these tokens. I'm actually going to give it all away to the community that mints and supports my episode. And then through that, the collectors kind of get this new upside in the token. They actually get direct exposure to that project that's sponsoring you. And the project on the other end is getting net new token holders, net new wallets that have engaged with their project that now hold their token and then convert into potentially active users. So if you think about, if you get 100 mints, maybe 5% of those people end up actually not only holding the token, but buying more of it and actually using the underlying protocol. Like if you had Aave, incentivizing an episode with Stani, maybe some of those people end up actually depositing into Aave or come across Aave for the first time because of that token incentive. So it's really this concept of an on-chain advertisement where, you get to bring this listener, the collector, the fan into the, upside of it, right? Where you're, rather than the creator just directly getting the money from the brand, you actually give that money to the fan, and they have the option of whether or not they want to take it, right? And that's a significantly better experience on the sponsorship model, where all parties are now involved and all of them kind of have this collective benefit from it. So I know I just went
amazing.
on a rant right there, but
no. What you did was drop a whole bunch of gems, right? And you showed the power of what the POTS platforms it can do for the brands in the community. So that's dope. So to make sure I understand, right? You're partnering with somebody, or your guest is like, hey, we have a platform, a token that is so what we're talking about essentially. Then they can then give the podcast creator tokens. So then every time that a fan or collector buys this podcast and it's in the crypto wallet, it comes with an extra gift, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah, see, I think, that's amazing.
Yeah, and I think what's really cool is like there can be this upfront gift, and then there's this kind of like speculative, like question mark gift of like what might happen in the future. Maybe you get whitelisted to mint an NFT. Maybe you get early access to that specific project's like beta. Maybe you qualify for an airdrop. Maybe the creator wants to just airdrop USDC to you, all this sorts of stuff can happen. And really the through line is that you just have this infinite design space as a creator with what you want to do with your fans. And I think another thing that's really interesting to really wrap your head around the social graph piece of it is like, imagine if someone like Taylor Swift had a global public leaderboard of her biggest fans. What would people start doing to start like competing and rising up the ranks? Like, are they going to give her $1.50, on every song that they listen to? What does that do on the social status side of stuff? What does that get you access to? So maybe the top 100 Taylor Swift fans in the world get VIP access to, a concert at her next tour. And these are all like, very much pie in the sky kind of ideas, but it's all what's actually genuinely possible kind of with this technology and publishing content on chain and what's possible with the social graph. So
yeah, you're right. Cause I remember back in the day where it was like, this is years ago. You probably remember this 50 Cent versus Kanye West when they had like a battle of their like albums, right? They both dropped the album the same day. And they were like, whoever get the most sales this weekend or whatever for opening wins, right? So people over there buying multiple Kanye albums, multiple 50 Cent. But as you mentioned, there is no way to reward that fan or that collector who's like, I just purchased 100 of your albums to help you, beat this person.
Exactly.
And then, so that's why it makes me think about these type of things.
There's no way to reward them, and then there's really no way to publicly track it in like a verifiable way, right? So like that is kind of like the unlock, is that you kind of get this verified, really authentic way to know who's participating and how much they're participating and when they're participating. And then you also can close that loop by actually engaging with those people that are participating, right? Because you have that ETH wallet that also can act as, an ETH wallet now is really powerful in the sense of, one, you can accept money, and two, now you have like WordCast and all these kind of Web3 social platforms that are giving more social context to these addresses. So you can start to find these people on, social media, understand them more as an individual. And again, you not only get the way to track this stuff and see, you get kind of have that like public flex, like I'm one of the biggest fans, you can't compete with me on that front. And then you also get that opportunity to start earning and engaging and, you know, showcasing, or I guess, what's the word I want to look, getting recognized by the creator, I think is like the interesting thing.
Yep,
Like Taylor Swift
yep.
doesn't really know her biggest fans. You know, you get all the, you know, the people that are like, oh, I'm the biggest fan. But like, if Taylor had like that leaderboard and was like, oh, wow, this person's been supporting me for a decade now, and is giving me thousands of dollars, like that's a really true fan and has been to X, Y, and Z concerts. You know, you start to pair this with like NFT ticketing. So you can have like cross, you know, verified kind of engagement across different mechanisms, whether it was like, I just listened to this song on Spotify and I collected it for 50 cents. And then I actually went to the concert later that year, you know? And you have that on-chain representation from a ticket, right? Being on-chain. So that there's a lot of possibilities here. And we're really like, we're in the second inning right now of this, where creators are starting to realize, oh, I can actually publish on-chain. I can actually make a living, or I can at least support myself, which I think is the coolest part. And the last thing I'll say on the model is like, it really does open up this opportunity for any creator to earn, no matter your audience size. And I think the nice thing about that is like, we have creators that get, you know, 500 views or, you know, 50 views, and they make 50, $100, maybe $200 on the episode. And that's a really fair deal, right? That's a really fair deal with the audience that they have. And, you know, if you get to record a podcast once a week and you can earn $50 and you can buy yourself, you know, a nice little lunch or dinner or something like that is actually like pretty reasonable and valuable for the long tail of creators that are currently earning $0, right? They're just creating content for fun and have no way to monetize because YouTube doesn't want to give them the money because you don't have enough views, and the brands don't want to do it because you don't have a big enough audience and all that stuff. So it really is this powerful new business model for content creators that we're excited. And, you know, it extrapolates not only to podcasts, but every single type of form of content, whether it is a YouTube video or music or, you know, posting Instagram reels or anything like that. Like there is this is applicable for everyone.
Yeah. And, yeah, just so much, you know, good ideas flowing right here. So it's amazing. And I can't wait to see what else y'all develop and put into the platform. So to lock in a little bit more on base. So for those who are listening to the podcast right now and they don't have, they haven't used base before, how do you get there? Can you break down the token you need, the wallet, and where to go to collect a podcast episode?
Yeah, that's a great question. In terms of base, the best way to probably get on board is if you do have a Coinbase account. Usually they make it pretty easy. In terms of the token that you need ETH on base. So need some Ethereum on the network. And then from there, I think if you can get a Coinbase account, you then need to get like a non-custodial wallet. So like kind of like a self-controlled wallet. So this could be the Coinbase wallet, which is kind of like their version of it, or something like MetaMask or Rainbow or Phantom, which has seen a lot of attraction there. Make sure that you have the ETH on that network, and then you can then participate in the base ecosystem, whether it is minting this episode or, you know, aping into new AI agents that are launching and all of that. So at least on the pods front, that's the current flow. We're definitely putting a focus in Q1 to just allow you to sign up with an email and get onboarded with Apple Pay or something straightforward like that. So we want to make this process a lot easier. Today, I'll be the first one to admit that it's not the easiest process and does take a little bit of some hoops, but as a whole, Coinbase and the base ecosystem is a really kind of fruitful ecosystem to be participating in. Coinbase has been super supportive for all the projects, you know, getting features on, you know, getting this episode featured on Coinbase wallet, you know, or something like that is always possible. And you know, having new distribution channels, you know, whether it is getting that feature from Base and Onchain Daily, or, you know, the Coinbase wallet thing that I just mentioned, you kind of have this new opportunity to tap into as a creator, to tap into the Coinbase distribution and the millions of users that they have on the application and their exchange. And I think that the Coinbase team is really working towards deeply integrating that in a more seamless fashion. So, you know, if you're on the Coinbase app, you kind of have direct exposure or if you're a project building on Base, you have direct exposure to the millions of users on the Coinbase app. And God forbid we hit a bull run and Coinbase is, the #1 app on the App Store, as it always does at the peak. The distribution that you might be getting out of that is really interesting and really exciting to think about.
Yeah, most definitely. So as we slowly start to close out, let's just talk about crypto adoption in general. What's your thoughts on Bitcoin? And then we have an incoming administration that is talking about building strategic reserves with Bitcoin and changing regulations. Gary Gensler is leaving. What's your thoughts there?
Yeah, definitely. I'm very much deep in the on-chain media land right now, so it is fun to kind of think about this. I think the past 4 years straight up have been really brutal to be an entrepreneur or just a crypto user. It hasn't been fair. It's been really shitty. It's been, if you're a founder, you're worried about getting sued every day. So it really just has not been a very fun environment to be an entrepreneur and trying to building in this space. So I think that's where a lot of excitement is coming out of right now with the new administration. It just seems like they're going to be significantly more friendlier to crypto entrepreneurs, to the crypto industry as a whole. And, the byproduct of that, I think, is really interesting. Whether, we already see more Bitcoin ETF inflows and ETH inflows and all of that stuff that's happening on the institutional side. So additional clarity from the administration, having those, clear frameworks for how to build a crypto company, what is possible, what's legal and what's not, and if it's reasonable to actually do it, where today it's not really a reasonable ask to require every company to file for their security laws and all that kind of stuff. So as a whole, Bitcoin, I think, is going to do exceptionally well under a new administration on the contingency that they kind of own up to their word and implement like clear frameworks for crypto companies, clear guidelines on the assets and what's its security, what's not. And I think it's just going to be an overall positive kind of next 4 years for the crypto industry, especially on the back of some of the AI stuff that's happening and kind of the intersection between those two. But you never know. It's like it is politics, so they could just rug you and just never come out with anything. I don't think that that's going to be true this time around. It does seem like they're pretty on top of it, but you never know. It just takes a look. It could get all stalled up in Congress, or I'm not a political science guy, so I'm not going to dive into exactly how we get stuff through into law and pass and all that. But I have no reason right now to be bearish on the industry. And I think just the clarification as a whole on the industry and where it stands and what's legal to do and not do is going to be an exceptional unlock for the industry and who can start to participate.
Yeah, definitely. And just thinking about just the USA as a strong economy and being innovative, I think it would be in their best interest to make sure that they regulate crypto in a positive way and definitely get USDC out there, dominate Bitcoin and Ethereum would be the best thing that they could do for this emerging technology. So,
I think, stablecoin adoption is like probably, I think the one thing that we'll see more aggressive kind of regulation for in the US, because I do think that this administration is probably on board with this concept that like a stablecoin is a great Trojan horse to get the dollar adopted globally and kind of maintain that reserve status. I think at this point you have to take that very seriously, especially with China and like all these other countries that we're not the friendliest with are launching CBDCs and kind of trying to compete on that landscape. I think it's going to be critically important, and I think the best way to do that is for the private sector to kind of just completely dominate that area and just get the US dollar adopted globally. It's just going to be a lot more beneficial for the American economy, I think, as a whole. Selfishly.
Facts. Yeah, definitely. And so anything else you would like to share? Make sure you share the website, but other than that, anything else you would like to share before we get out of here?
Yeah, I think just check us out at pods.media. Would love for you guys to, anyone listening, to mint this episode, give us feedback on the platform. You'll be able to find it at pods.media/passive income network. And I'm sure Siwa will throw the link in the show notes. And get on chain, start participating, support your favorite creators, discover new content. I think we're in the very early innings of this stuff, and we're only just starting to scratch the surface of what's possible and how we can start to leverage this technology to improve the media industry.
Definitely. Appreciate it. Lucas, stay backstage for a moment and then I'll close out the show.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So we had another powerful episode focused on the creator economy. So as you heard, go to pods.media and check out what is happening over there. I have a page that I'll be posting more episodes throughout the year, and then we'll be cooking up some strategies to make it nice and fun for all the collectors. So again, if you are a podcaster or someone just interested in crypto, make sure you watch these videos, get educated, and tap in with Base, tap in with Ethereum, and see what's happening with the creator economy and on-chain finance. Again, I'm C. Will with the Passive Income Network. I appreciate y'all for tapping in. Until the next episode, peace. Passive income, gold in my dental. Thank God for my mental. Investor fundamentals, told my girl it was simple.